Okay, if you're new to Cinema 4D or if you're new to character animation in general, then hopefully this tutorial will give you a bit of a guide through what can be a quite complicated and overwhelming task for people who haven't seen this sort of stuff before. I'm going to be utilising something in Cinema 4D in the content browser. Okay, it comes from the studio version, so if you are a student or you have downloaded the demo, then you should be able to have access to the studio content browser. So I'm just going to go here and then I'm going to search for headphone, because this brings me headphone guy. And you just double click that, and this is a nice little rig that comes in studio. I'm just going to go through a little bit about how to sort of look at him, what all of these strange and wonderful controllers are and what they do, how to navigate your way around him, and also how to do a little bit of animation with him as well. Okay, so in the Object Manager you can see that we've got master controls, and this is everything to do with my little headphone guy here. We've got the character here, which contains all of the stuff that he's actually made of. So you've got everything that comes to, you know, his eyes, his shoes. And if I just go to polygon mode, you can see that it highlights how his little, you know, body was built in one way, shape or form, and what he's made up of. And note that things like the head and the arms stop here, because there's no need to have them under the body, under the t-shirt, and that the shirt itself stops as it gets into the jeans. So in another tutorial we will go through how to build and, you know, rig and model the character and stuff like that a little bit later. But in this tutorial we just want to focus on what a character actually entails, how it's built, and how to kind of maybe have a little bit of fun with it. So we've got the spine, this is all of the joints inside him, this is everything that makes him go. You can see all of these little legs and arms and skeletal structures inside. This is what he uses to make him move. We won't really be touching that today. We're largely going to be using the controllers here. And these are the things that make him go. Okay, so let's have a little whirl with him. So as you can see, he's got quite a big number of controllers. Let's start from the ground and work up. These are his feet controllers. So making sure you're on object mode, you can hover over like one of the foot controllers, or you can select them on the right hand side, and then you can just use your arrow keys to make him move. Now he's been locked so that you can't overstretch his leg in that sort of format, but you can obviously pull them up and he will start to do some really weird and wonderful stuff. I challenge anybody in real life to try and do this without your leg going through your own chest. So be aware that his bones will respond in that way in order to make sure that he has kind of realistic movement as much as he can. Now not only can you move his foot through the controllers here, you've also got access to the rotate tool as well in order to do that. But if you click on the leg controller, we've got some nice things here under foot controls. And this gives you a little bit more control, a little bit more detail when doing things with character animation. So with my leg controller selected, we've got things like heel tip, okay, which will, you know, if you whack that up to all the way up to there, 20%, it will rotate around the ankle joint. Then you've got ball roll, which allows you to keep the ball of the foot down and move up the heel. You've got toe tip control, so you can bring the entire foot as sort of angled around that particular point, and then you've got toe twist, allowing you to wiggle your foot from the front. So all of these little controls allow you to have that little bit of extra movement with your character, so that rather than just the foot going up and down, if you need it to, you can do things like that, so that when his foot's on the ground or coming up, it gives that more realistic movement that you're going to be after when playing with a character. Okay, so I'm just going to undo that, put it back to 0. Okay, back to where it was. And let's work our way up. It's obviously the same for the right foot. It would be very strange not to have the same controllers for both sides. You've then got your master controller. Okay, this controls everywhere that my little character goes. Okay, so he is controlled by the master controller. This is his general movement. If you want him to position in a different part of the scene, you need to make sure that it's your master controller that you move. Okay, no extra controls there, that's just his main source of control. Then if I just turn around, we have his hip controller, okay, denoted by H. This allows you to control his hips. So this gives you a little bit of squash and stretch with his body, but means that you can move up and down, okay, move his hips up and down depending on everything you want him to do, meaning that you can get a realistic walk cycle, but it will stretch out the body a little bit. Okay, then you have a chest controller. Okay, this chest controller can control how far his chest moves backwards and forwards. You can also rotate it so that it gives actions to his shoulders, and then obviously up and down depending on what you're trying to do. That gives you that extra control again for the bodies, how you're able to move stuff around and get sort of bends and twists in those bodies, or leans if you're after that sort of stuff. So if you want to lean to one side, you can do that sort of thing, move around and twist. Okay, nice little chest twist. Then going up even higher, we've got the head controller. Now this head controller again controls exactly from the neck and only the neck, so you can make him nod or shake his head or rotate that way, and all of those sorts of things are viewable. I don't think you can move it. You can move the head up and down, the hat and the headphones if you want to, but you've got to be a bit careful with that. Largely they're linked to that controller, so you're mainly going to want to just use rotate for that. You can't generally lift your head off your neck. If you wanted to do that, you'd probably have a problem, or you would need to create some sort of separate rig. But as most of the rigs here use a neck or head controller, you're only going to want to rotate, and my little character is agreeing with you. He doesn't want you to remove his head. No, not at all. There are some extra controllers here on the head controller which are really useful. Now most of this character is controlled by these skeletal structures, okay? This is a rigged character, but facial expressions can be done a couple of different ways. One of which is the way this character has been done, which is called a pose morph. Now a pose morph tag allows you to set different positions for polygons. So if I just go to my character, I'll show you that. Ground shading lines, so you can see the polygons that we have here. Turn off subdivision surface, and you can see the interesting polygon mesh that we have underneath. So turning that back on, we've got this polygon shape. Now if I go back to my head controller, you can see that he's already been set to 75% frown. And if I was to lower that, we have direct control over those polygons. We can make it 100% frown and he can look very grumpy at us, okay, and we can just zero that out and he's now at 0% frown. Somebody, the person who ever built this rig, has set this up so he would have had a base mesh that would have looked very similar to this, if not exactly the same, and then he would have created a pose morph tag and then gone, actually what I want to create a frown, and then he would model it, move the polygons until it looks like that, and it means that you then get this slider that you can animate between the two. He would have done something similar for blink as well. Sad allows you to just sort of do other bits of polygons, and then we have control of the eyes, so we can move the eyes up, we can move them down, you can go left, and you can go right. Now of course you can combine the two, so you can right and then down, or right and then up. If you try and cross between the two, it will go be a little bit doolally because it's trying to misshape both of them at once. So you can move stuff up and down, and you can have him looking, and maybe you want to have him looking really sad, so we'll move the eyes down, and then you can do the sad facial expressions, and there we go. I'll put my poor little sad character here. He's probably wondering why it is that we're all staring at him. Or maybe he's going to just look up and look a little bit sort of forlorn. Oh, there we go, he's doing his big puppy eyes now, ain't he? but you've got control over all of this, and it's a really wonderful way of bringing life to your character. Some other characters may have different expressions. They may have facial rig stuff in front where you can grab controllers and move them. This pose morph works for this little model, and it's what we're using. And now, should be last but not least, under the controllers sections we have his arms. So I'm just going to look at the left one, and again this allows you to just go to the object mode. You can move his arm, you can make it up and it can go down. You can't stretch it too far away. You can obviously bring it inside himself and it will start doing some nasty things. Okay, so you can do that sort of stuff, and you can rotate if you wanted, sort of like get a little bit of swing, or patting the dog. That sort of thing is always useful for the move and rotate controls. So also under the arm controller, again, you have control of its fingers. This has been done through what they call set drivers, set driven keys. So the rotation of one affects the rotations of all of the ones underneath. You can see that I can deal with sort of the rotations of those fingers, which is really useful, depending on what you want to do. And there we go. He's giving us the big thumbs up there. Okay, it makes me very happy. So this is our little character. These are the controls that allow us to do a variety of different things with him. And what I'm going to do very quickly, I'm going to set up a little animation, just in walking maybe, and we can have a little play with seeing how that's done. There are a few extra points which are here, which you've got under the left and right arms. They're largely sort of hidden, largely within the spine structure, and these are these little dots here. These are useful controllers because they control where your elbows point, and more importantly down here we've got these little ones as well, which control where the knee points. So if you've got a particularly strange walk cycle, or you want him to do a little bit of Elvis impersonations, then you're going to want to make sure that you have these easily selectable, and maybe we want to change the way they're displayed. So I'm going to select that one, and I can change it to circle, and there you go, you've got a bigger point. Or maybe you want to change it to pyramid, quite good. So just select those little dots and you can change them to pyramids. They're just null objects, but you can choose how they're displayed, which is really cool. So I'm just going to select those just in case I need them, and I'm just going to change those all to pyramids so that I know where my holes are. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a little bit of a walk cycle. Okay, so awesome. Oh, there we go. We've got them, they're really cool. You can change their radius as well if you want them to be a little bit bigger, which is fine for me. So here is my little dude, and we're going to start a little bit of a walk cycle. Okay, now walk cycles are generally fun. If you have any experience with walk cycles, you know that sometimes reference material is really good. If you're new to animation, then there is a book called The Animator's Survival Kit by a guy called Richard Williams, and that's got so much stuff in it for animation and helping you out, and like walk cycles, sneak cycles, run cycles, exaggerated cycles, cartoon cycles, normal cycles and things like that. It's a really good starter book, so if you're new to animation, I would severely recommend getting that book. I have looked at it a number of times, and so I know the walk cycle sort of off my heart now. So I'm just going to do a little bit here, and I'm going to animate him using that. Okay, so let's get walking. So it's probably easier to use one of the side views, so I'm going to use F3. Set this up. I'm going to go to ground shaping lines because I want to see my character here. Just going to minimise all of the spine stuff, and I'm going to look at the controllers. So I'm going to start with his right controller. Okay, and I'm going to Now, a lot of stuff to do with character animation won't look right until you have everything in place. Okay, you've got to make sure that everything is in place. You've got to avoid snapping and popping and things like that, but it's a really easy way of moving things around and then getting stuff right. Don't worry that your character doesn't look right to start